welcome everybody. Chris here, and thanks so much for coming by. We're doing portraits today. We're going to have a wonderful tutorial here. We're actually going to cover all the basics of how to do a beautiful portrait painting. We're doing a lovely young woman here. We're going to take our time and explain all the details that you would need to accomplish this. We're going to cover the first part of the video you're going to see. We show how to basically draw the shape of the human head, which is basically like an egg shape or an oval, and then how to place the eyes and the ears and the nose and the mouth in the frontal view, which is what we're doing here, the frontal view. So you're going to see how we do this. We get all of our detailed increments and measurements for our nose, lips, and eyes, ears, and our hair. Once you get that jotted down on a piece of scrap paper, then you can go in and you can do any portrait your heart desires. You can, again, we're going to talk about how you can do all kinds of different presidents, people in politics. You can do paintings, movie actresses and actors, sports figures, your family members, anybody you want. You can do any portrait you want, especially in the frontal view like we're doing here. More of a simple approach. You're just looking at it in a two-dimensional plane pretty much. And again, it's just a matter of getting your eyes, nose, mouth, ears, and basic shape of the head set. And then you just adjust it according to the person you're drawing. You know, some people might have a larger nose, a smaller nose, bigger lips, smaller lips, bigger eyes, smaller eyes, a little bit of a different shape of their head or their jaw. You know, different little subtle things. You can pick up on those things after a while. But if you just give it a try, I'm sure you're going to be able to do this. You're going to have a lot of fun with it. Don't ever think you can't do portraits. You can do portraits. Anyone can do it. Beginners can do this. And then, of course, if you've been painting a number of years and you're sort of, you know, you've been around a while, no problem. You can do this as well. You're going to have a little easier time doing your painting portion because obviously if you're just starting out in watercolor, your washes are a little difficult. You have to figure out how to learn how to let things dry and come back in. And we discussed that all in this video, though. So I'm hoping you're going to stick here with us and have a fun time. I explain everything, the whole enchilada, chock full of nuts information here on my channel. I'm going to explain in every detail possible how to do this portrait. And then once you try this a few times, I guarantee you're going to have a lot of fun and you'll give it a go again down the road a little bit, if not sooner. And just hoping you're going to give it a try because it's so much fun doing portrait work. Okay, so enough talk. We'll be back in just a minute and we'll start the drawing. All right, it's Chris Petri, everybody. Thanks for coming by again. Great to see you coming by and joining along with us. We're going to do some portrait work today. And the thing with portrait work is all you have to do is really learn the basics of how to get your placement of your main features on your head, which would be the eyes, the nose, and the mouth, and the ears. If you can get the eyes, nose, mouth, and ears all set up, you're really way ahead of the game. So let's kind of just talk about that for a second. So I'm going to take a piece of printer paper here, standard office printer paper. I'll tape it down just for a second here, just so we can kind of cover this quick. Before we do our portrait, we're just going to do a real fun female frontal view portrait of a woman. Just a really, you know, interesting kind of portrait style painting. Nothing too fancy. So basically, with the human head, when we're doing portraits, you can use different views, and there's a lot of nuances to it. But if you just take the very, very basic first, this is one view of the human head, the portrait that you can use to start out with, and you could do this for many tries, you know. And once you get used to this frontal view, then after that, you know, you can start moving to like 3/4 views and different things like that. You can do profile views of the head. You can do looking up at the head, looking down, like from a looking like an angle looking down on the head, or an angle looking up at the head like underneath. So there's all different kinds of interesting views you can have, but for the most part, let's just go with the basic. We're going to just take the head is basically, let's make it like an egg shape, just to start out with. I mean, all heads can be a little different. I remember noticing that when I went to get my glasses for the first time when my doctor told me I needed glasses for the first time, and you go to the eye doctors and they give you a little chart and it says what's your shape of your head, and then you look at it and you say, oh, okay, there's a pear-shaped head, and there's a square or a rectangle-shaped head, and there's a round head. So there are different shapes of skulls, but for the most part, if we just go with like an egg shape, you know, kind of like an oval or an egg shape like that, we're going to be pretty good. So what we do is to do our portrait today on this tutorial, we're just going to say, all right, let's take the head and we'll divide it in half. So we're going to take the chin, top of the head, and we'll just make a little hash mark over here on the side. And then, you know, there's the center of the head. So the center of the head, that's going to be where the nose is, the center of the nose and the lips. And then let's go halfway. So halfway is going to be the eyes, the center of the eyes, approximately. These are approximations. And then, so we're going to start figuring out, okay, eye sockets are going to be like this, here and here. So the center of the eyes here are halfway. So we could just say like this, there's okay, and this is halfway. Then we're going to go another halfway down between the eyes and the chin, and that's going to be our bottom of our nose. So if we just take that line and we go across, that's approximately the bottom of the nose. Like that. And then if we go another halfway from the bottom of the nose down to the chin, halfway is the lips. Okay, so we have the lips, and then underneath there's a little shadow there. I'm just doing a little shadowing. And then here again the eyes. So I'm just going to do some. And the nose here. And then I think about a third of the way down. So about a third of the way down to the center of the eyes is usually the top of our hairline, the hairline for the figure here. And then usually when we have the eyes, you can kind of think of it as eyeglasses like this. So you have an eyeglass here, an eyeglass here. Those eyeglasses represent the eye sockets that the eyes set inside the eye sockets. There's a protection. The eye sockets are actually, your eyes are actually inset into your skull quite a bit so that they're protected in there. And then you have your eye sockets around your eyes. So you can pretend these are glasses, and then between your eyes, there's an eye length. So you can imagine you have one eye length between your two eyes, and then you have an eye length over to here to the side of your head on each side. So basically that's the idea of your eyes. And you can think of it as a pair of eyeglasses, like that. And again, your other main features, the lips, the nose, we cover that, right? Halfway, the eyes, the center of the eyes. And then halfway down from the eyes to the chin is the nose, bottom of the nose. And then halfway is the lips, from the bottom of the nose down to the chin. Approximation usually works every time. There are some little minor variations. Everyone's a little different, but for the most part, that's pretty good. And then our ears, if you're going to draw some ears on your portrait, sometimes the hair covers the ears, so you might not see the ears sometimes. But if you do the ears kind of, they go from the top of the eyes down to about the bottom of the nose, like that. And that's really it. And then you have it. That's pretty much your standard format for your portrait. And so you can maybe make some notes on this so that you have that for your future reference, so that when you're going to do any portrait, anytime you're going to do a portrait of anybody, you can do some really fun stuff. You can do, movie actors and actresses. You can go into magazines. You can go online and look up pictures. You can do your family, take some pictures of your family members on your phone, and then maybe try to draw them and paint them. So you can have a ton of fun. You can do presidents and political people and all the politics these days. You've always seen all the people out there on TV, in the newspapers. So you just have endless sports figures, anything you want. You can do portraits. You have endless information to do your portraits. So this is just your basic format that you can use. So you get your main features set up, and then from there you can detail it according to each person you're going to look at when you're going to draw someone different. You might be drawing someone with a larger, wider nose, or maybe a thinner nose, or maybe someone's going to have bigger, fuller lips, and maybe someone's going to have very, very thin lips. Maybe someone's going to have larger eyes, maybe someone's going to have smaller eyes. So you adjust your drawing according to what you're seeing in front of you. So whoever you're going to draw and paint, as far as your portrait paintings, you just adjust it accordingly. If you see someone has very, very big eyes, you're going to want to make the eyes bigger, right? So, that's all. But this is just your basic format. So please try to jot this down. Try to do this until you, draw this until you get it pretty good. Then you save this. I did this on printer paper. You take this, you have this for your notes, and then you set this in a little folder. You have a little folder in your studio or in your place that you're doing your artwork, and that's it. Does that make sense? You just keep this with you, and then you always have that reference. You always go, ooh, oh, I know. Yes, the eye sockets are here, and there's always like an eye length between each eye, and there's also an eye length from the corner of the eye to the side of the head. And then you have your, dimensions as far as where your eyes are on the head in the frontal view, and we'll call this frontal view. And there's different, you can draw 3/4 view, you can do profile views, different kinds of views, but this is the simple, basic frontal view. Really kind of, a lot of people that do portraits do these style portraits, frontal view. It's kind of very straightforward, very, a little bit easier to do than doing like turning the head and doing 3/4 views where you have more of a 3-dimensional. This is more of a 2-dimensional look to the head. And you always know me, I'm always saying, try doing 2-dimensional drawings. If you're just starting out, and if this is your first time here, thanks so much for coming by and welcome to my channel. So I always, you'll always hear me say, if you're just starting out with drawing and you're just starting out in watercolor, the best thing to do is stick with 2-dimensional drawings. And this would be a perfect example here. This is a 2-dimensional drawing, really. You're doing a frontal view. There's no angles where the head's turned. It's straight, and you're going to get the 2-dimensional look of the head here, okay? So we're going to do a gorgeous, beautiful woman here next on our drawing and painting. So I have my paper ready to go. We'll start up in just a second. I'm just going to take a quick break, and then we'll get started, okay? Okay, so we're going to get started. We're going to do our female portrait frontal view, and we're going to start out here. Let's make our oval. So we're going to do pretty much our head shape here. We're going to do our head shape here. Pretty much like a pear shape or like an egg shape to start with. And we're going to do halfway is the eyes, halfway on the head. And we're going to do about, about a third of the way down for the top of the hair, maybe, like that. So I'm just going to get a little mark there. I'm going to actually come down too and do the nose halfway. And then the lips halfway here. So I'm just making tiny little indications here, just to, and I'm going to do the neck here next. I'm just going to do, you know, a little bit of a blouse here. And over here's some hair, so I'm going to leave the hair over here maybe. So one side's going to have some hair, and the other side over here is just going to be maybe a blouse here in the shoulder, like so. And over here, we'll do another shoulder over here, like that. Okay, and now we're going to develop our eye sockets. So again, we're going to just remember that our eye sockets are like glasses. You can think of them as glasses like that. And there's a eye length between each eye. So if you go here and here, there's the eye. And there's another approximate eye length over here to the side of the head. And again, you can trim down and do some, you know, you're the artist. Sometimes you might want to do things a little differently. You can exaggerate things when you draw the human head and the portrait. You can do things to make things look a little better. You know, you have to learn those little minor things, minor changes you can make to the human face to maybe make it look a little better, or maybe easier to draw and paint. You have to figure that out. But we're sticking to our main. Remember, we just had our, this is our format, frontal view, eye socket, eye socket. There's an eye length in between each eye, and then another eye length approximately to the side of the head here. And then, of course, halfway on the head is the center of the eyes. Then here, center between the eyes and the chin, halfway is the bottom of the nose. And then from the bottom of the nose to the chin, halfway is the mouth, the center of the mouth. So, and then the ears, of course, are top of the eyes to bottom of the nose for just approximations. Pretty much, usually, it's always going to pretty much follow that same standard. So, we're going to continue doing our sketch here. So, I did my eye sockets here. And then I'm getting the bottom of my nose here. And, you know, you can adjust things. Again, you can, when you're looking at the, I'm trying to find my eraser. I don't know what I did with it. Well, in any case, I'm not going to worry about that right now. I'm trying to find my eraser here. I thought I had it. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do our lips here. Okay, we're going to do some lips there. And remember, when you're drawing your portrait, doing your pencil drawing, you're just trying to get down the basics of it. You're not trying to, like, get every detail. Just try to get your basics. Okay, try to get your basics. So I'm going to get my basics. There's my nose. And okay, now I'm going to try to do the eyes. Start over here. Okay, that's one eye, and then we're going to do the other eye over here. Okay, this model is looking a little bit to the right. And okay, we're going to kind of get the shape of the nose a little bit here, like that, and like this. So we're sort of getting the bridge of the nose, just kind of penciling in a little bit of the shape of the nose. Okay, and I'm going to do some eyelashes here. And we have a nostril here. And then just a little bit of a nostril there, but more of a nostril there. And again, you're just trying to get the basics of it. You're not trying to do too much work with your pencil. You want to do most of your work with your painting, with your brush and your paint. But you do want to get that, you know, basic shape of everything. Okay, so that's the shape of the head there, and then I'm going to do the hair this way, and then over here the hair is going to go this way here, like that. And there is a bit of ear showing here, so I'm going to do that. And then over here too, we're going to have a little bit of ear showing there. And over here, we're going to have some hair here going this way. So we're just going to do some hair like that. And then over here, there's more hair. So I'm just going to try to get some quick flowing hair shapes like that. And what else are we going to do? We're going to, maybe we'll get some dimples in here, just a little bit, just to kind of, I just want to get a few of her dimples here, so that when I'm painting, I don't have to get too much involved with figuring everything out. If I can just do a little bit of pencil sketching on a few spots like the dimples, you can see I did pretty much a pretty good detail of the eyes, the nose, the mouth, and the overall head shape, a little bit of the ears and the hair, and that's pretty good actually. We're going to have an easy time now because we have the main features of the head here, the eyes, the nose, the mouth, the hairline here. We're going to do a little bit of a part here in her hair, like so, and there's some, so she has some, I'm going to just do some, little bit of some pencil lines just to kind of, again, when I start painting, the less I have to worry about details when I go in painting, the better I am. So if I just put a couple pencil lines to indicate things prior to painting, I'm going to be a little bit better off. So you can kind of see I have everything pretty much set up with my drawing, my pencil drawing, and it's pretty simple, right? That is not too difficult, right? This is not a difficult drawing to do. You just have to get your shape of the head, and then you can use the hair once you start painting to kind of slim down the face a little bit. If you think you want to slim down the cheeks and the face a little bit, you can add a little hair to it along the sides of the face just to kind of shape your head a little bit, so you always have some room to, when you're painting, to kind of make adjustments. So that's what I'm kind of trying to say, is you don't have to get everything perfect from the start. As long as you get your main features of your portrait done when you start out like this, then you can do many adjustments with shadowing, with hair, with light and shadow, trust me, you'll be able to make adjustments when you start painting. So let's do that. Let's leave this as it is right now. This looks pretty good. And we'll come right back after a quick break. It's good to take breaks, especially when you're doing portrait work. Portrait work's pretty demanding. You have to focus a lot on the features of the face. And so it does take a little bit of concentration. So once you're I think once you get your head, your main features of your head drawn in, your head shape, your eyes, nose, and mouth, and then it's a good time to take a break, and then we'll come back and we'll start painting. So it's basically draw first, take a break, 10, 15 minutes or so, and then come back in and do your painting over the top. Hopefully that's helpful to you, and we'll come right back in just a second. And I always mention too, if you like this type of video with portrait work, please hit the subscribe button, and also thumbs up, and leave a comment in the comments section if you say, hey Chris, yeah, do more portrait work. I know many of you that are out there, please give portrait work a try. It's a ton of fun. It's so exciting, and you just have to try it, for a while. You have to kind of put a little bit of time into it. Maybe you do once a week, you do one portrait a week, and you'll be surprised after a month or two. It'll be a lot easier to do portraits. If you just do once a week you do a portrait, or even once a month. Once a month you do a portrait. After about a half a year or a year, you'll feel much more better about doing them, and then you can just go in and have fun and do portraits, and then maybe you'll do a lot more work with doing figure work and portraits and things like that. You might find that you're more excited about doing things like this than you are maybe landscapes or flowers or whatever, but it's up to you. You're the artist, you make your decision, but I just always want to say that it's just a matter of practicing it a little bit and you'll get the hang of it. So again, let me take a break. Can I take a break? Is that all right? All right, awesome. I'll be right back. Okay, so we're starting up again. I took a nice 10-minute break just to relax a little bit. Kind of like get my concentration level back in good standing. So now for this portrait painting here, we're going to use the glazing technique. So basically you're going to see me just do a quick glazing over the top of the face first, and then I have to let that dry. So we're going to take another break in just a few minutes, because the key here is once you get that first wash on the face and the neck here, and the the first wash, the first glazing, then you have to let that dry 100%. So let's do that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take some colors. I'm going to make this a very subtle type of painting. I'm not going to get real super dark with my colors or anything like that. I'm going to go with some alizarin crimson and a little bit of purple, mineral violet or ultramarine violet, like that. And I think I'll use a little bit of red, cadmium red too, maybe some cadmium red and yellow ochre. So these are good flesh tones that you can use. So if you use yellow ochre and cadmium red, that gives you a nice flesh tone. You can use that if you want. Sometimes you can use a little bit of raw sienna too as well. But that's pretty good. That's a good flesh tone there. Like that, red, cadmium red, and then a little bit of yellow ochre. Approximate. Then you can use a little bit of cerulean blue for shadow, like that. Keep it separate from the red. And you can use the red, and so you're going to use cadmium red and a little bit of yellow ochre for your flesh tone here. Then you can use for the shadow, you can use some cerulean blue on the sides of the face maybe. So the center of the face would be like more red, and then the sides of the head might be a little more bluish for shadow. Here I'm going to use a little more, I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to try to do mine like this. I'm going to try to do mine more. So these are the two flesh tones you can kind of create when you're doing this head here. So I'm going to try to do maybe this one here. I'm going to use this here. I'm going to experiment, but this one I usually use 90% of the time. I always use cadmium red with a little bit of yellow ochre, and then a little bit of cerulean blue for the sides of the head for some shadow. Here I'm going to do a little bit of alizarin crimson and rose madder with just a touch of cadmium red, and then cerulean blue the same as here for the shadow. Let's see what happens here. Okay, so I'm going to do the nose first like this. So the nose is the prominent feature here, and it's right in the center of the head. So I do that first. And then what I want to do is I want to do the head like this first. You can go into the hair like this, and you kind of just work it down to the shirt like this. And you just keep working that like so. Then you go back in and you get a little bit of the shadow color, the blue, the cerulean blue. And you just try to do a little bit of that cerulean blue on the sides of the head and the neck over here. You can go into the hair again, and even into the clothing you can go into that. But you want to do it all at one time, and you don't want to, you want to just do that. Get it all on there at one time, and that's it. Now I did mention that when we just started this for the first wash, the first glazing, that's what you want to do. You want to get it on fast, your first wash fast, get it on, get your warmer color like your alizarin crimson rose madder for the center of the face. Get that on first, work it all the way around, get it all the way to the top of the head, hairline, all the way down to the bottom of the shirt, to the blouse, and then you go in and get your cerulean blue, and you do your shadows on the side, and you do it fast and quick so that everything is in one wash quickly, and then we leave it. And now we have to let this dry. So let's let this dry for about 15-20 minutes, or if you have a blow dryer, you can blow dry it, and then you can start up again quickly. But I'm going to let this dry naturally, especially with portrait work. I think it looks better if we can let this dry naturally. So I will let this dry for about a half an hour, and I'm going to come right back and we'll get started again. And again, I did something a little bit different. I used a different wash. Usually, again, I use cadmium red and yellow ochre for my flesh tones, usually, with a little bit of cerulean blue for the coolness of the sides of the head for my more shadowy colors for the head. But on this painting, I wanted to go a little more subtle, not as strong and vibrant of color. I wanted to subtly put some more subtle washes. So that's why I went with the alizarin crimson rose madder, and then I used again the same thing, the cerulean blue for the shadows on the sides of the head. So I hope this is a good, clear explanation of my colors for the head, for the face. I think it's pretty straightforward, not nothing too fancy. And then we're going to go in and we're going to start doing our features. We're going to start doing the eyes and some of the lips and the shadows, and you'll see it's going to really be a lot of fun. And these go quick, so you're going to notice that this portrait is not going to take a long time to do. So I'm always, happy to say this is not like a laborious, time of spending 4 hours doing something like this. Once you get your drawing done, your painting will go pretty quick. So your painting portion goes pretty fast. I think the drawing takes probably the same amount of time as the painting. So if that's any indication, you'll know that it's not going to take you a lot of time. Once you get your drawing done, you're okay. So let's come back in just a second or two, okay? I'll be right back. All right, we're getting back started again, and I'm going to dip my paper towel in some water. I'm just going to clean up the palette a little bit. This way we can start mixing some new colors, or we might use mostly the same colors we used before, but good to keep the palette clean and things organized. So we'll do that first, and then let's okay, so our first wash, we use the Raphael number 6, which is a Kolinsky Sable natural hair brush. And the next brush we're going to use is going to be I use a travel brush, number 4, Vinci Maestro, Kolinsky Sable. It's a Vinci Kolinsky Sable travel brush, and these are great. You can bring these with you, like if you're going out maybe on vacation and you want to take some brushes, you can put these, you screw them together like this, throw them in your pocket, throw them in the duffel bag or the suitcase, and then when you get out to the destination, you can just open them up, and they have a little hole in the top so they dry, so they won't get moldy, and then you just screw them together like that, and these are perfect. So I like these. I use these all the time if I go out locally and just do some painting at parks and things like that, or locally. These are great. So I use these all the time. Very comfortable too. They're very light. So we're going to actually start mixing up here. I'm going to empty my water. My water looks a little bit muddy, so I'm going to just keep my water bucket with clean water, fresh clean water. And then we're going to let's do the eyes. Let's start out with the eyes first. She has blue eyes, I noticed in the photograph. So I'm going to take some cerulean blue and maybe even some cobalt blue, because cobalt blue is a little more transparent. So that could be good too. Cerulean's a little more opaque. It's a little more, this is a little more transparent, the cobalt blue. So let's start doing the eyes. And when I do the eyes, I don't fill in the whole eye. I just kind of dance around and get some color in there. And then when I do that, I want to get some burnt umber and some burnt sienna, burnt umber, burnt sienna, and a little French ultramarine blue to get a little bit of a shadow color like that. And then we're just going to do some shadow color underneath the eyes here, and maybe I need to go with some raw umber. Maybe I don't want to go as dark. That might be better. So give yourself the option of going a little darker, a little lighter, add some raw umber to that. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to do some shadowing under the eyelid there. And that goes right into the eyes too, into the color of the eyes, like that. And also, I think burnt umber and then some alizarin crimson too, like that. So I'm going to start mixing some colors, alizarin crimson with the burnt umber and raw umber. And we're just going to do some shadowing over here, like that. And I try not to get too I'm concentrating here. I apologize. I'm trying to get my shadows correct here. So that's the thing, when you're doing portrait work, it does take a lot of concentration. And I'm going to try to get some shadowing over here, like that. And like so. And these are subtle colors I'm trying to use. So these are the eyebrows. So I'm doing the eyebrows now. Subtle colors. If you feel like if you went over too far with something, you can always take a tissue and just lift up a little bit. I think I made my eyebrow a little bit too close to the center by the nose, so I want to just kind of correct that a little. And you can always go darker, so go lighter at first. And so I don't want to Okay, so I'm just working the eyes. And there's a little bit of coolness too, so I'm going to mix a little bit of that alizarin crimson with a little bit of the blue. There's some coolness in the shadows here, I see. And some warmth too, and like that. So I'm just going to try to get some, what I think are little shadows. To sort of get things, the shadows working in the painting. And it looks a little bit odd sometimes when you're painting, if you're just starting in one area like this and doing your shadows. So you don't worry about it if things look funny, or you just keep working the different areas, and eventually when you're all completed it looks good. But if you're just doing shadows here around the eyes, it looks a little funny. Can you see how that does look a little bit funny? A little bit, I don't know, unpleasant a little bit, because we're doing all this detail around the eyes here, but we still have a lot of work to do around the nose and the lips and everything else, and the hair. So don't ever get discouraged when you're painting and you're doing some details around the eyes and you think, oh my God, it doesn't look good, it looks funny. Don't worry. It's just that when you're working in one area like this, it's gonna look odd. So don't worry about it. Just stick to your photograph or your picture that you're working from, and you'll be fine. And that's what I'm doing. I'm working from my picture, and I'm making sure I'm trying to just make sure I do the best that I can with what I see. So I'm just working some of there's a shadow here along the bridge of the nose, and then there's more shadow that goes over here by the bridge of the nose, like that. So now I'm starting to work down toward the bridge of the nose here on this side, and there's okay, so that's looking pretty good, and we'll put some shadow here. So what I do is I put a little bit of that blue, cerulean blue, cobalt blue. I rinse the brush, dry off the brush on the tissue, and then I just smooth out that shadow. There's a little bit of a shadow in between the eyes here, like that, like that. And then there's more light on the bridge of the nose there. So there is that bit of shadow here. So I'm just going to add some of that shadow there. And there's more shadow here and here. And over here a little bit too, there's some shadow, like that. So I'm just carefully trying to work all my shadows so that they look good, they blend in. There's some more. Let's see here what I can look. All right, so there's more. Okay, there's a bit of a point there. Then there's some burnt umber, French ultramarine blue, burnt umber. There's a little bit of a dark there, a little bit of alizarin crimson. For the nostril, there's a little dark there, like that. don't want to overdo that. The nose is very subtle. So I don't want to overdo that. And then this is here. Like that. And then there's a little bit more of a nostril over here, but just a touch of that there. And there's that little bit of, let me do some of the lips here. So burnt sienna, alizarin crimson, burnt umber a little bit, raw umber, burnt sienna. So I'm just trying to mix up a little bit of raw umber, not too much vibrant color, but enough that we can. So I'm just going to do a couple quick little and these should be a little darker here, like that, and then a little lighter. Rinse off the brush, dry off a little bit of the water, pick up just a little bit of lighter paint, not too dark. The lower lip is lighter, so we'll just do a little bit of the lower lip here, like so. Like that. Okay, so we're moving along here. There's a little bit of a shadow under by the chin here. Like that. There's some shadow under here. And I'll mix up some more shadow color, which is alizarin crimson and cerulean blue, kind of a purple color. And there's just a little more purple over here. And some more shadow over here. I think that looks pretty good so far. We're kind of just, getting some good good shapes here, and so what I'm going to do is get a little bit of that alizarin crimson on there and rinse off the brush, dry off a little bit of water, and I'm going to try to get some of that shadow over here. Like that. And then over here, there's some darker shadow, but it's kind of warm, kind of red, pinkish red, purpley. So that's there, and then over here too. There's some more. And I'm just trying to blend out that shadow I just saw, that warm, and don't worry about it. It's going to dry looking good. I'm just trying to do some subtle shadows and things like that over here. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Up here, I notice I didn't blend this as well as I should, so maybe I'll try to blend this out a little bit. Maybe I have to lift up a little bit with the tissue. Okay, that looks good. Again, don't worry about perfection when you're doing your watercolors. When you're doing your portrait work, you're just trying to get some good color on the paper with some shadows and again alizarin crimson there and some cerulean blue. I might have to go a little darker now to try to get some like that. I want to try to get some just some more exciting color there on the sides of the cheek. And don't forget, you can go right into the hair with your paint because the hair is going to be darker. We're going to go with some blondish brown here, so any of these flesh colors, that's going to be fine. And I'm thinking this looks pretty good. I'm going to go in with some of the alizarin crimson for the lips a little bit because that's what we've been using for our shadow colors. And I think we don't want to overdo this. I think we can leave this. I think we can leave this go at this point. I think we're doing pretty good here. Maybe a little more burnt umber and just for some eyebrows. Like that. I just wanted a little more eyebrow look. Some more eyebrows here. Like that. And that looks good. I'm pretty happy with the face so far. Let's keep it minimal. Minimalism is good. Minimal washes and colors, we're going to be better off. We don't want to go too. And I'm just going to do a little bit of the pupil here, like that. And the same thing here, a little bit of that, like that. Okay, let's take another break. This is a lot of concentration here as we're working with the washes and things. And it does look sometimes, again, it'll always look a little bit odd when you're doing work in just the face and you haven't done any of the hair. Once you get your hair completed, so always remember, watercolors are always, you have to wait till you're completely done 100% of the way before you step back and look at it and say, did it look good, or did it come out good, or did it not come out good, or how did it go? Don't judge your watercolors ever when you're in the middle of the process, because think about it, we're just working parts of this whole picture here of the portrait. So does that make sense? You know, we still have a lot to do. We have the hair to do, some more details, you know, the shirt, the blouse a little bit here and there. So don't worry about it. Just keep working your painting, following whatever picture you're using, photograph, working from maybe an art book. Maybe you're working from your phone or your computer. You might have a picture there you're working from, whatever it is. Just don't sweat it. Keep working at a good pace. Paint what you're seeing. Try to get your shadows good and your colors close, and you'll be fine. So we'll come right back in just a minute. And I always mention, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. On the right-hand side below here, there's the subscribe button. And all it does is really, YouTube will just let you know when I've made a new video. So there's no catches to it, or, you know, you don't have to worry about getting phone calls or text messages or emails or anything like that. Nothing like that at all. Subscribe just means YouTube's going to let you know when you open up YouTube, you'll see my video like on the screen, and it says, oh, Chris made a new video. And then you can watch if you like, or if it's something you might want to, you know, you might want to wait till there's another favorite video of yours that you want to watch, whether it's maybe I'm painting flowers or landscapes. You might not like portrait work so much, whatever it is, or you might love portrait work and you're not too fond of flowers or whatever. But just suffice to say, when you hit the subscribe button, at least you're going to kind of be in the know with my work and what I'm doing on YouTube on a constant basis, and that's all it is, really. So, and it helps me too as a YouTube artist here on this, my channel and on YouTube and on the internet. It gives me a little more success. People are more likely to follow me if they know there's a lot of people following. So that's why I always ask if you do subscribe. It helps me a lot as an artist. And in any case, I really appreciate that you're watching and painting along with us, and we're going to be back in just a second. Okay, so we're back, and we just took a quick break. I like to take a lot of breaks. I hope you'll take breaks too when you're working. It really does help. You know, you get to step away for 10, 15 minutes, come back, look at things and say, I notice I need to do this or that. Like I'm noticing right away, I have to get a little bit of a shadow over here on the side of the nose. Like here, just a little bit of shadow there. And also here. Like that. And also I need a little bit of color there on the nose. And a little more shadow on this side too. And if you think you went a little too dark with a certain shadow, you can always lift up. You don't have to press on the wash a little bit like that. And there's a little bit of I see a very subtle shadow there. And there's a little bit of shadow there too, a little bit of that purplish, like that. And a little bit there, and up here like that. Okay, so you can get a couple shadows here and there if you see that you need to add in. I'm pretty sure that's looking good now at this point. I think we're ready to start working on the hair, so let's do that. I'm going to go with a little bit of a larger brush like this. I tend to find that maybe if I used a smaller, this is like a 14 Da Vinci Maestro. This is a little small, maybe the number 6 Raphael to do our hair. Maybe I need to find something in between. 14, maybe I have maybe a 12. I'll try a 12. So I'm going with a Da Vinci Maestro 12. 12 might be a little better. So for the hair, I'm going to try to mix burnt umber. Here's where we can really mix up a lot more. We want to go burnt umber, raw umber. There's some French ultramarine blue in there too. A little bit of yellow ochre, a little bit of burnt sienna. So we're kind of trying to get an amalgamation of different colors, a good mixture of different colors. We want to try to get a good mixture of things going. And then I just want to, hair is best just doing it fast, like this. So I'm just going to try to do the hair fast. Try to do it quickly, like this. Let me add a little blue to that too. I don't want to go all brown. I need some warm and cool everywhere, like that. Burnt umber, there's some darker darks here maybe. Under here there might be some darker darks, like that. Okay, I'm going to leave that like so. Maybe I do a couple little scrapes with the nail here just to add some more detail to that. And then I'm going to go back over here and like that and try to just do the same thing. I just want to raw umber. There's some darker darks too we need. So that's some French ultramarine blue mixed with the burnt umber and raw umber. Like that. Again, I'm trying to just I don't want to take, with hair you have to kind of go quick with it. I know this is a little bit awkward while I'm doing this and you're watching what I'm doing, but really hair has to be done quickly with quick strokes like this. Too much fussing around with hair really ruins it. I've ruined many portrait paintings with the hair because I just got too involved with going too slow, and I'm trying to do a little bit of some blue in there, some cerulean blue. You can dry off your brush too, like this, and then not a problem if you do that. So if you have a little issue where you make a mark on your paper, best thing to do is to make sure you have clean, fresh water. So I change my water super quick. Pour out fresh, clean water, and then I want to get a fresh, clean bit of tissue, and I dip it in the fresh, clean water, and then I can just go in here quick and do a little bit of like that. And there we go. Problem resolved. Okay, so we're going to continue on here. Okay, and that is good. Maybe there is a little bit of an ear over here. And another ear over here. So I'm doing a little bit of an ear color maybe. And that's good. And again, try to add a couple scrapes in there. That's good. I don't want to overdo it. The less I do on the hair, the better it looks. Okay, so I'm leaving the hair now alone. No more fussing with the hair. I'm going to do just my last few things here. Let me do the blouse, which is a purplish color. So I'm going to use my Raphael brush, fresh clean water. It's more of a purplish color, so we're going to do that. Like this. So I'm just doing the purple color of the blouse. Okay. I'm going to let that dry just a little bit. The blouse, the purple blouse, there's a little bit of lace on the top. So I want to make sure I do that. And we can also, I think, I always say don't keep going over the hair, but I did notice that this needs a little bit more like this. Like that. And then we're going to do she has on a necklace, very, very lightly. So I take a tissue and I dry off my brush. Like so, I dry off my brush to try to get most of the paint off because I want very, very subtle, a very, very subtle line here, like so. This is a very, very subtle line, which is the necklace here. And then this part of the necklace is a little more detailed, and we can see it a little more. So I'm just going to do that. Like that. And right there, I'm just trying to maybe shape a little bit of the shadow underneath for the neckline. And I think it's looking pretty good, actually. So again, the main thing we were kind of, you saw how I did the hair. The hair is best done just real quickly, fast strokes, get it on there, and then maybe a couple scratches here and there to add some lines, some waviness to the hair, maybe, you know, some highlights. But really, I've found that over the years doing portrait work, the hair has to be done pretty quickly and not too much fussing around with it. And also, mixing the colors, that really works well too. Mixing a lot of different colors for the hair. So I used burnt umber, burnt sienna, a little bit of the French ultramarine blue for the darker shadows, raw umber as well, and then raw umber, burnt sienna, burnt umber, a little bit of French ultramarine blue for some of the darker darks, and then also some cerulean blue for some of the kind of cooler colors. So you want to have warm and cool in your hair. You wouldn't just want to make it all like brown color and not mix. The more colors you can mix in your hair, kind of the better off you're going to be. It'll give it more interest. That I would say is really important with this. But as you can see, we did a good job, I think, with this portrait. Hopefully you're going to try this at home and really have a fun time. And again, it's just a matter of, you do it once a month, or maybe once every couple of weeks you try a portrait. You do some fun things. Maybe you do some caricatures of people. You know, you can make, you know, things look a little bit interesting. You know, you can kind of, here I can touch things up a little bit if I want, and to try to make maybe some of the shapes a little better. So here I think I maybe a dark there. Maybe do a quick couple darks like that. Again, don't fuss around too much. A couple little spots here and there isn't going to hurt. You could experiment a little bit like that, but okay, so that's really, I think, pretty good. Oh, I forgot to do this. Let's get some of the, we have some of the lace here on her blouse. And all that is some of the brown, burnt umber, burnt sienna, raw umber mixed in with a little bit of the blue, the French ultramarine blue. And you just make a little bit of, you know, some fast kind of things like that, strokes like that. Just to give it a little bit of a decorative look to it, like that. And that should be good. And I blend it down in here a little bit. Like so. All right, I hope you enjoyed this. I'll zoom in just a little more. And we'll also, too, if you go back to the beginning of the video, when I first start my videos, I like to show the finished painting. So you'll see the finished painting again at the beginning of the video. And we'll talk a little bit just about the process we're going to use to go through the whole painting from start to finish. We do that right at the beginning of the video. So if you want, you can go right back to the beginning of the video again and start it up and kind of just, again, that first 2 minutes of my video, I'm going to kind of just explain what we do here. If you need just a little bit of a refresher, if you're going to try this painting out. Okay, so good luck, everybody, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.